The Bible.
This is the Bible.
You question the words of the mighty Jimmy?
There are many power scaling videos on Dragon Ball, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, and several other long animes and mangas. But in this video, I'm gonna go over one of the oldest and longest mangas of all time, the Bible. It was first dubbed into English by Martin Luther Studios from 1522 to 1534. Now, just like how the Soul Eater anime is very different from the Soul Eater manga, or how there's Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood and Fullmetal Alchemist 2003, there are many different versions of the Bible. Each different version has their own massive fan base. There are the Catholics, the Protestants, the Mormons, the Jews, and so many other different groups. Now, each of these different fan bases believe that their version is 100% canon, and the people from the other fan bases are not true fans. They get into massive flame wars with each other, so if I don't adhere to your specific version of the Bible, I do apologize. Power scaling is subjective, so if you want to make your own version power scaling the Bible, go right ahead. Firstly, I want to get this out of the way. I will not be power scaling God with a capital G, aka Yahweh, in this video. The scaling around that character is way too controversial for me. Fun fact, did you know that the term canon actually was created by the Catholic fan base? But a lot of people have told me that you can't scale characters like Moses or Samson because, well, their power comes from Yahweh. It's through his power that those feats happen, and not through their own power directly. I disagree with this line of logic because, well, that would be like saying you can't scale Cthulhu because he's part of Yog-Sothoth. But people will still power scale Cthulhu regardless. There are many different anime characters who get their power from an outside force, and almost no one ever says, hey, you can't scale him like that because that's not his own power. Or you can't scale Naruto that high because most of his power comes from the Nine-Tails. Goku's spirit bomb is created by the energy around him. It's not his own power. So I'm sorry, you can disagree with the scaling in this video if you want, but I'm still gonna scale characters like Moses and Samson as if those were their own feats. Just like how Naruto uses chakra, Dragon Ball uses ki, One Piece uses haki, and how Bleach uses spiritual pressure, the Bible also has its own power system called faith. In Matthew 17:20, it states that you just need the faith of a mustard seed to move mountains. And if you've ever seen a mustard seed or Googled an image of it, you know that those things are really small. In Romans 10:17, it stated that someone can raise their faith by just hearing and reading the word of God. While moving mountains is indeed impressive, this actually might be a defensive technique and not an offensive one. In Ephesians 6:10 through 18, the full armor of God is very clearly described to us, and it refers to faith as a shield. So aside from faith, there's also spirit, righteousness, and salvation. Now some of you may say, well, this whole moving mountain things just sounds like a statement, not a feat. Well then, let's see what Moses can do. There was an anime adaptation of the first half of Moses' life called The Prince of Egypt, and there was also a live-action adaptation called The Ten Commandments. Moses has done things like divide the Dead Sea for an extended period of time, influenced the thoughts of small creatures like locusts and frogs, created a fire tornado to stall an army, called down meteorites. Tell me that's not some Madara shit. He can curse a lot of people with leprosy and do a whole bunch of other stuff, but one of his most impressive feats is when he turned all the water in the Nile into blood. The Nile is 300 million cubic meters. So yeah, this feat is clearly mountain level. Now granted, blood is made out of both blood platelets and plasma, so about a quarter of it is already water. But still, transmuting 75% of the Nile River is still mountain level. But all of these feats combined, including that one time he turned his staff into a snake, are nothing compared to that time he covered Egypt in darkness. Now this could have been done through light bending, clouds, and a lot of other ways. But if we highball this feat to where he used an eclipse to cover all of Egypt in darkness, and yes, as someone who has experience in eclipse, those things get really dark. Just imagine levitating the moon and making sure it blocks the sun's light from going to Egypt for 3 days in a row. If he really wanted to, he could have just crashed the moon into the earth. But at the end of the day, Moses is a bit of a glass cannon. Sure, he can heal himself from leprosy, he lived to be 120, and he can take on a whole group of men after dying of thirst in a desert for several days. So he's certainly human level plus, but he by no means has mountain or moon level durability. So let's move on to the strong man in the Bible himself, Samson. Samson is stated to be so strong that he could uplift 2 mountains, then rub them together. He has slain a lion with his bare hands, and a lion is about 3 times stronger than a normal human. Shortly after this, he went on to kill 30 men. Why? Well, it's because he needed their clothes. I'm not joking. He's also pretty fast and has a lot of stamina. He captured 150 foxes, and those things can run at 31 to 42 miles per hour. Oh wait, sorry, there was a typo in my script. He didn't capture 150 foxes, he captured 150 pairs of foxes. So that's 300 foxes, making it twice as impressive. He killed 1,000 soldiers wielding nothing but the jawbone of a donkey. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, how strong was that jawbone of a donkey? I mean, it hit so many soldiers in heavy armor. How did that thing not break? Well, the thing is, he didn't grab it because he needed it. One of the rules he had to follow was not to touch anything unclean. So more than likely, touching the jawbone of a dead donkey lowered his powers. He only used it so he would have a challenge. Another impressive feat of his is when he took the gates of the Philistines and moved them 40 miles away. Yeah, to him that was nothing more than just a prank, bro. After his hair was cut, making him lose his strength, he was blinded, but his hair slowly grew back. He destroyed 2 pillars, causing the temple to collapse, killing himself along with 3,000 Philistines. If the length of his hair truly is tied to his level of strength, then this is only a fraction of what he was capable of in his prime. If he never cut his hair all the way to the age of 100, who knows what this monster could have been capable of. But there might be one human who's even stronger than Samson. Some of you might have heard of Joseph. He's not too impressive, aside from having clairvoyance, being able to predict the future using people's dreams and his own dreams. But his father Jacob, and I quote here, wrestled with God. If this is meant to be taken literally and God was actually using his full power against Jacob, then yes, Jacob is certainly stronger than Samson, because Samson's strength came from just a small amount of God's power. And finally, we have the last human I will be going over for this video, and he's also the first human ever. Adam. He lived to be over 930 years old. Now, it's never specified how he died. He could have died from old age or from natural causes. Because he ate from the tree of life, there's a good chance that he's immune to aging, which would give him immunity to aging hacks. You also can't go back in time and strangle him as a baby, because he was created from the dust of the ground as a full-grown man. Now, since he actually met God, this guy has a lot more faith than that of just a mustard seed. In many versions of the Bible, he's described as the most perfect man ever created. If that is true, then he's stronger than Samson or Jacob, and he could perform more miracles than someone like Moses. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot we can learn about Adam's life, but there are more versions of Adam than Moses, Samson, or any other character from the Bible. There's Adam from Record of Ragnarok, Adam from Has-Been Hotel, and many other versions of Adam. But yep, that pretty much wraps up the scaling that I want to do for all the human characters from the Bible. If this video gets 700 likes, I'll do a follow-up video about Jesus, the angels, the demons, and the devil. Just keep in mind I only did this video for fun, and you can scale these characters however you want. And if you're interested in my content, I just did a video on reaction channels on my main channel. Please go check it out. This channel is almost monetized, and once it is, I'm going to be remaking my all versions of Goku versus all versions of Superman videos. Please like and subscribe and do that stuff every YouTuber asks you to do. See y'all next time.